Welcome to the Krafty Max Originals 9th BeadALong. We are going to be framing this little blue cabochon, and in your little kit you will have gotten 4 sets of beads. Now these two are what's called 11-0 delicas, which means they're 11 per inch, and these two are 15-0s, and what they are is not only smaller, but they're more shaped like a donut in their roundness and in the space that they have in between. The delicas are more shaped like a cut straw. When you lay them out, you want to always try and not put 2 whites next to each other, 2 blues next to each other. It seems like such a easy thing to think about when you're not thinking about it. Now, you would have gotten some fire line and a needle. My suggestion for the fire line is to do it as long as you possibly can. There will be no knots in this design, and I will tell you that it is hard oftentimes to get your thread in and out to weave it back and forth. So I usually start with about 6 foot, sometimes more if I'm doing a large project. Yes, it's a hindrance to kind of mess around with the tail and all the thread, but in the end, it means you have to do less turnarounds, cuts, and starts. Okay, the fire line was originally a fishing line, and so it is a monofilament. It's very strong, it doesn't stretch, and it doesn't yellow. But it is a tube, and you have to go through these little tiny needles and the little tiny eyes. So my suggestion is to run it through your teeth, and I don't know that you can see it in the photo, but it kind of flattens it out, and that makes it much easier to thread most of the time when you're not doing it on camera. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Peyote Stitch for the cabochon and some florets to finish the cabochon, and then we're going to do some herringbone for the strap. So you'll kind of get a lot of different lessons. I'm not sure how many videos it'll be yet, but we'll make it all the way through from start to finish. Now you have 2 tails. You have what's called a dead tail and you have a working tail. The dead tail is the longest tail. Now again, I told you there's no knots. So what you want to do is take the dead tail, the longest tail, and wrap it around your pinky or your ring finger about 4, 5, 6 times, just enough so that it won't pull if you pull it. Now remember, it's going to sit here. Don't do it so tight that you lose circulation on your finger. You just want it enough so that when you pull, it won't come loose. Okay? Now what we're going to do is start building the walls. Now the way that I do this is without a backing and without any glue. And so what we have to do is build the walls up around the cabochon and then pull them in on one side and then pull them in on the other. In other words, encasing them and framing them. Now the way we pull them in is generally with smaller beads and or changing the stitches up. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and go around the cabochon with what's considered our first row. Now I'm going to start with the blue. If you choose to start with the white, that's fine. Just make sure that you're starting with the 11-0s. And so that we have a nice good even count and it makes our florets and some other things better, what I always do is I do it by 4s. Doesn't matter how many you need, just do it in sets of 4. So there's 4, 4, 4. I'm not counting the sets, I'm just making sure that as I push them off, I'm doing sets of 4. And so you're going to continue to add beads. And sometimes this is easier for some people than others. Oftentimes, if you're having trouble scooping them, what you can do is pull them out and then tap them. And what happens is they kind of stand up straight. Like again, if you're looking at a straw, the straw would be standing up. And so you can kind of just lean into them with your needle and pop them right on there. So there's another 4. And some of you may notice that I have a light over my hands. And I will tell you one thing that I've learned, and it doesn't really matter whether it's cross stitch, whether it's beadwork, coloring, whatever you're doing, if you need to use a light, my suggestion is to always use a light that is over your non-dominant hand and is ahead of you. So my light is actually kind of over there and up. Okay, so this is my non-dominant hand, and it is ahead of me in the light path. It's not behind me. Now, some people use overhead lights, and that's fine, but whether I'm doing it at my table, whether I'm doing it for videos, even when I'm doing it in classes, I always try and sit so that the light is that direction. Now, the way you measure this is you go around until you have enough beads to go around comfortably. So we're going to continue to add because obviously we weren't there yet. And again, sets of 4. And a lot of this just takes practice. The first 2 rows are the hardest, just like with regular peyote. So once we get a little more, making sure I have all the beads that were tucked down in there around my pinky, I'm going to measure it again. Still not enough. Add a few more. Now for this, these are all going to be about the same size or close enough that I am going to give you the actual stitch count or bead count so that you know for the first one exactly how many you need. But when you're doing it on your own, you're going to do it just like I'm doing it and literally add and check it out and add and check it out. Okay, one extra there. Let's slide them all down. And let's see what we got here. All right, now the way to check it if it's getting close is to actually put the threads together and lay it around. Okay, you need it to be a little bigger. Not a lot bigger, but a little bigger. And the reason is because when we start doing this, it's going to get stiffer. So if it's already really snug, then it'll get too stiff to actually go around it. All right, so you've added beads, and I'm going to tell you how many sets of 4s you need. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, oops, I'm getting out of the camera view there, sorry, 14, and see I'm counting sets of 4, 15, and don't talk in between your count, 16, 17, 18, 19, so I need 21 sets of 4. Now, if somebody wants to do the math, go right ahead. I'm not that good at math. And all I need to know is that it's sets of 4. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big circle and go in what I call, teasingly to my ladies a lot of times when I teach them, I'm going to go in the butt of the line, meaning I'm going to go in the very, very first bead that we added, the very, very back of the beads, and make a circle. Now I'm going to check it one more time because it's always better to check. What is that old saying? Measure it twice, cut once. Okay, now I'm going to tell you that. Do you see how when I pull it tight, it's coming up over here on the side? It's not laying loose around. It is now because I just stretched out, but when I pull it tight, it's not enough beads. So I'm going to go back through those couple beads, and I'm going to add another set of 4. So that means we're going to be at 22 sets of 4. Again, somebody wants to do the math, go right ahead. And then I'm going to go right back through. And it doesn't matter if you go through 2 beads or if you go through 10 beads. I wouldn't go through more than about 4 or 5, maybe 6. It's just enough to hold it. It's not really a matter of how many you need to secure it through the back of the bead there. Now when I pull it tight, see how it's nice and loose going around there. It's okay to have a little tiny bit. See if I can show you this. I know it's kind of close on the camera, but see how there's a little bit of air kind of around it? That's okay. Because what happens again is it tightens up once we start adding the next stitches. So keeping the tension on your pinky, and you can move this around as much as you want or need to. What we're going to do is start Peyote Stitch. So I'm going to pick up one, and again, it doesn't matter how many beads you went through in the back, it's fine. Pick up one, skip one, go through one. And if you've taken my classes or my BeadAlongs before, you'll know we're making an up and filling in the down. Once you pull them tight, you'll see that little plus has developed right there. So we're going to do that all the way around. Pick up one, skip one, go through the next one. So we're making an up and we're going through the down. That is the essence of Peyote Stitch. And again, it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get the first couple rows. See, I now have two, and I'm in a down. So I'm going to pick up one, maybe. I'm going to skip one and go through the next one. So I'm making an up and going through the down. Each one you're going to have to continue to tighten because we have no knot to keep that tension. The more tension you keep on this string right here, the better. Okay, and if it separates, it's okay. Just pull it back together. So, picking up one, you're going to skip this one and go through this one. So you're making an up and you're going through the down. Okay, so go all the way around doing this, and I'll catch you at the next video.